Hey, this is Matt from Automio, and I'm just going to walk you through how you'll make a pack. We've already showed you how to use one and a pack reference, but how do we make a pack? Just to reiterate, a pack is a reusable piece of a flow that's made of points just like a regular flow, except it doesn't have output. It does not contain output. It's just there to gather information from the customer, and I'll show you what happens when we do include some output. So this is our mega pack flow, and it's just asking a couple of questions. What's their name, which obviously is going to be asking for a user input, so they're going to type that in, which is why it's a straight, not a branch. And then we've got the gender one, which is branching male and female. And I just want to also offer another option, I guess, would be the fairest thing to do, which would be to say other, to give them an opportunity to not declare one way or the other. And so now at this point, what I'll also do is I'm going to end up packing this point, but just to show you how output gets handled. A pack isn't there for the output. It's really there just to make sure that that it's gathering information from the customer, which the output will come in a reference instead. So I'm just going to add one here as an example and give it a name. So this is called existing output on the female branch, for example, since that's where this one is. And I'll do the same with, let's say we'll just do one with the male branch as well. Do a paragraph for this is output on the male branch. Doesn't really matter what it is because we're just going to show what happens to it when we pack it. So we've got a few pieces of our branch there. I'm going to pull back over here, and you'll notice that on an answer I can't pack. We don't pack answers. It doesn't make any sense. What we pack is questions. So we'll pack this up, and what it does is it creates this as a pack. And like any flow, which is what a pack is, a little tiny flow in it to itself. It can be quite big, but it starts off small like this one. It gets an instruction point at the very beginning, so you can present that to the interviewee. Hello, now tell us about this person. Just call this. You do have to come up with a name for this pack, and so we'll call this one a person. I don't know, fictitious, just to separate it from our person simple one, which we actually use. Okay, so you notice that output's been stripped out. All we see is the questions and the answer points, and those are all ready to go. So I'm going to pop back using the back arrow to see that the two pieces of output have just been maintained. They got stuck in a linear fashion, just going out this way, just so we can copy and cut and paste them however we need to, and not lose whatever was typed into there. But the pack itself doesn't have that in there. So then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave those where they are at the minute, and I'm just going to add a reference. So now that we've created that, you can see that's available up here. I've just got also just notice that the title here needs to be set to be. So in this context, we're going to call this is going to be the I don't know, the actor. So on whose behalf this action is being undertaken. That label can be anything. It's just describing what the context of this particular person is in order to differentiate it. So, for example, if I add a pack, another one of those as a pack, which was our person fictitious one. And so we can ask information about another person or people, and they can have a different context. Like, so that can be the actor, or this can be the object of the action, whatever it is, whoever this person is. So this could be the employer, and this could be employee or employees. If I make it allowing multiple, I can limit that number. So however you choose to use it, it's important that you give it a name that makes sense. So then when I go in and I add a pack reference to generate some output from the actor pack that we've put in there, you'll see that we don't just by default, we don't only get the repeat for each and the combine after. What it gives us right out of the box is all the questions that went into that pack, so that then we can actually use the responses that were given to do certain things. So for example, when that output um, gets generated, we might want to have a particular you know, piece of text get added in the case where they said other, and then another piece of text that gets added, you know, in the case of a female or a male, and those can all be different. But so we don't have to even remember the structure of the pack. We can see it immediately when we create that reference. So like that, you know, each of these can then, you know, branch off and then rejoin, or since it's inside of this repeat for each, when it gets to a dead end, it repeats again however many times is necessary until it then goes on to the continue after. So let's just say that that was carrying on with some more instructions and another question and some more answers, etc., and carrying on down the bend. You also see how it changes its format when to make sure that everything fits nicely. None of your tracks will ever overlap. It's always tidy. Can't get yourself in any sort of trouble. So so that's the default view that comes out, and the points that you can include based on what it is that they chose. So this question won't be asked again if they've already answered it when they've done this, gone through the pack. This is just now determining how the output changes, which can be really handy because then you can also add further questions. So for example, if they had already indicated that they were a female, we can ask them another question, you know, to potentially ask, you know, what's your age or your height? And then that also can cause another branching that we can then use to change what kind of output. So in this case, maybe they are over 50 or under 50. Really, I should say 50 or under in this case, right? And that can then that can change which output gets included as well. So total flexibility over how you want to handle each actor and how their output gets affected. So that's how you make a pack. Again, quick review: you pack a question, and then you name it. You can then use it and name its as a pack inside of your flow, and then create a reference to it. You'll get these auto naming, but at the moment you just have to name it yourself, just to keep them all straight. That this was a reference to the actor and not to the object, which for this purpose I'm just going to get rid of since it was just an example. This also demonstrates that deletion of 1. It's not going to destroy what came after or before. It just got rid of that one single point. Now also just keep in mind that when you're doing a reference, you don't have to be stuck with the structure there that it gave you. You can just start fresh, knowing that there are some variables available, some tokens available from the answering of the questions. So if I bomb this and I just make then a simple structure where I just add a paragraph, I will have all of those variables that were available within actor available here. So I could say name is a male or female, like that, period. And then I'll be using the values of those questions, but I won't be doing any fancy branching off it. I'll just keep my structure simple. So total flexibility around how you actually use the pack reference. But that's how you make a pack.